Hello, my name is Leroy Blevins. Welcome to Mysteries and Histories. In this episode here, what I want to do is I want to go more in depth and details in when I made a discovery in the JFK assassination. So what I'm going to do is as I go through, I'm going to show you a process I had to go through before I made or claimed anything when it came to making my discoveries. We'll take the gunman inside shelter number 3. Now, before I even made that claim or even brought that evidence out, I had to make sure and look at every angle and also look outside the box as well. Plus, I wanted to make sure there was a lot more evidence to back that one location up. Now, when I first started analyzing the film stuff, the first film I got was Oral Nick's film. And this is a copy of the copy. I can't show the original. I have the original copy, but by copyrights and everything else, they don't want you to show you can show a copy of the copy of the copy, but you can't show the original copy. So I can't show that, so I'm just going to show this one right here. Now, when I started first viewing the Orville Nix film, I was keeping an eye over in this location over here if you watch my cursor. The reason why I was keeping an eye over there, because before I got the films and images and stuff, I was always told, and I was reading and stuff like that of other people's research saying, well, those shots came from the grassy knoll, which was behind a picket fence area. So I kept on looking over in this location here as I flipped through the frames, as you see right here. I kept my eyes over on this location here. But, I don't see no shots being fired from over there or anything else. So my next step was I started back over again, and then I started writing down locations. So I took out a map and paper, and I marked a location of, okay, here's Bill Newman, here's Mrs. Newman, here's their sons right here, Mr. Zapruder and Mrs. Setzman. So I was marking them down as I was looking at this location here. As you see as we go along, okay, I'm sitting here still, make sure I'm watching the motions of JFK and Mrs. Kennedy and Governor Connally and the reactions of the people right here as well. Then, as I come along and I kept on going over it frame by frame, I came to this frame right here and I was like, wait a minute. Then I go ahead and I go back and I'm looking at this location here and I'm like, there's a shot being fired right there, as you see right here. You see what I'm saying? See, we see the gunman right here bringing in his rifle. Oops, well, I'm going to have to close it down this way. Then we're going to bring it up. I guess it won't let me do that. Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and do it this way. I'll zoom in just a little bit right here so you can still see it. We can see a rifle sticking out here. But at that point, when I first made this discovery, I wasn't paying attention to this location here yet. I was paying attention to this location over here. Because of, as you see here, keep an eye here, we're going to see a shot right here. See him? We see that shot being taken right there. And that was the first discovery I made. So I was like, okay, well, then I went ahead and took this frame. I was frame 40. I took this frame right here. Here's frame 40. We see the shot. So I was like, where's this shot lining up to? Because we watched the smoke trail right here. And then when I line the shot up, it's right to Governor Connally. And it's like, okay, this is a shot to Governor Connally now because we can see the gunman taking a shot. Now, also, I made sure that it was a gunman, so I went ahead and zoomed in on that location, as you see right here. I zoomed on that location to make sure that there was a rifle being fired and a smoke trail. We can see the top of the gunman's head and his hairline and his hair right here. And we can see him firing his rifle. And I take all this in the notes. Okay, I put all this in notes. Then when I make it, I, put it over here, put this over here, put this in a file, put this in a file, put this in a file, and keep on doing that. Then after I got the Orville Nix film, viewed it and stuff, then when I finally got the Zapruder film in, which is these frames right here, well, actually, this is the copy of the copy again. I have the original. But we watched this, and I went ahead and I took out frames in this file here. I took out frame 132 to from 001 to 132 because it just shows the Elm Street doesn't show JFK's limo. JFK's limo doesn't start until frame 133. So what I did was I went ahead and took out the frames, and I started looking at them in a Zapruder film and in Orville Nix film. And I went ahead and did a diagram on the location Orville Nix was filming and the location where Mr. Zapruder was filming. And then I went ahead and put in the time frame from when it starts filming to right here. Same as the Orville Nix film. He starts filming here and he stops filming right here. And I put in, the locations, the time of how long that part of the section of film is, the length of it, and like Mr. Zapruder's and Orville Nix film. Then I went ahead and lined up the Zapruder film, starting with frame 133 from this point to this point here to the end of the Zapruder film. This is just showing JFK's limo. From this point here, we can't see JFK's limo in the Zapruder film, only from this point here to this point here. So I had to take that and mark that down on the map, as you see here. Now, after I found that shot, I went ahead and started viewing back, because this is a shot to Governor Connally. So when I was going back, I came across frame 26. Frame 26, a shot was being fired right here out of the window of the shelter, which I'll show you right here. Right here. And after I found that shot, again, I went ahead and zoomed in on that location just to make sure that there was a shot being fired there. We can actually see the gunman's head, his hairline right here. We can see the rifle. We can see the rifle fire and sparks coming down. And we see that little smoke trail. Now, in the Orville Nix film, I'm finding 2 shots coming from this location. But I marked it down, put it in the file, left it there, because I wanted to find more evidence just to make sure. Then I line up frames of the Orville Nix film and the Zapruder film. Then come to find out that when I line these frames up, frame 26 of the Orville Nix film lines up with frame 313 of the Zapruder film. And then when I go to the next one, frame 40 lines up with frame 330 of the Zapruder film. Then I was like, okay, well, these line up. Well, let's take a look at it. Well, we know the fatal headshot to JFK was on frame 313. So that shot that was coming from inside the shelter there from the window was the fatal headshot, because now I have this view from this side of Elm Street, and I have this view from the side of Elm Street when I line them up that way. So now I can see the shot being taken and the shot making contact at the same time. Same thing as I go right here. When I look at the Orville Nix film and I found this shot here, and I found out that this shot in frame 40 of the Orville Nix film lines up with frame 330, and then frame 330 of the Zapruder film, I should say, what we see the bullet impact in back of Governor Connally's back. So at this point, I'm like, okay, now I have the Orville Nix film showing the shots from behind Mr. Zapruder in shelter number 3. I have the Zapruder film showing the location of where these bullets made contact. But I still kept that in the file, pushed it to the side, because I wanted to find more evidence, just to make sure. Then, as everybody knows, I line up all the images and films together to see when each image was taken, as we see in the Zapruder film. Altgen's image number 6 was taken at frame 254 of the Zapruder film. We can tell this by lining up the surroundings and the people and positions that the people were in and everything else. So we can have the front view, side view, and the other side view now. Now we got 3 different views we can look at now. Now, the other film I got was the Bronson film. Now, from the Orville Nix film, I knew the shots came from shelter number 3, so I already had my location. So when I start viewing other films, I'll be concentrating on that one location there, because I know the location was shelter number 3. And in the Bronson film, we do see 2 shots being fired, one from the window of the shelter and one from the side of the shelter, and we see smoke trails coming out. So now we have the Nix film shows the shots, the Bronson film shows the shots from the same location, and we have the Zapruder film showing where these shots made contact with. But then again, I pushed it to the side, kept it in that single file, so I can find more evidence, because remember, like I said, now we have photographic evidence of what these shots, but we want to make sure that if we see one person takes this film and we have another person that shows these gunmen in this location, there has to be more evidence out there. Then I went ahead and I found the Moorman photo, which I got a copy of it. And this is right here. This is the FBI copy. Well, I knew the shots came from over here because we can see this in the Orville Nix film. We can see this in a Bronson film. And we know the bullets made contact with JFK, which is the fatal headshot, and the shot to Governor Connally. But like I said, I didn't say nothing at that point. So when I came over here and I looked at this, and I zoomed in, excuse me, on this location here, we can see someone looking out the window here. We see a set of hands and a rifle sticking out right here. We see another guy right here and a rifle up in the air. So now we have the Moorman photo. So I went ahead, took this image, colorized it, as you see right here. I colorized it. And then after I colorized it, I zoomed back in on that location, which we can actually see the gunman a lot clearer now. We can see him. We can see the gunman looking out the window here with his hands right here and his rifle sticking out. And then we have the other gunman right here. We can see the rifle, barrel of the rifle sticking up right here. Now, to make sure, when I was colorizing the Moorman photo, or any other photos I've ever colorized, I made sure where I go ahead and I put the black and white on one side and the color on the other side, and I transform them back and forth, and I even overlay them just to make sure nothing else was added to the image, only color. So that's a long process as well. But these are steps I have to take to get the evidence. Before I even present this evidence, I got to make sure I cover all bases, and I have to look at all this. Now, at this point, I had the Moorman photo. I had the two films that shows the shots being fired from there. I had the Moorman photo, shows both gunmen with rifles in their hands. Plus, I have the Zapruder film showing these two shots. But I still had to go further in because I wanted to find more evidence. Then I came across the Darnell film, and I started viewing the Darnell film. And as you see here, in the Darnell film, we can see two gunmen still inside shelter number 3, but now we're getting a side view. We can see two gunmen there, and we see one gunman still aiming his rifle. Now, when I seen this, I was like, okay, now I'm pulling more information out, because now we know there is exactly two gunmen inside of shelter number 3. This is a fact now. It's no more of a theory or nothing. We have the evidence. But we also get more information as well, because we see this gunman here aiming his rifle from his left side. Then we go back into the Orville Nix film, and we pull up this image here, this close up here. We can see that the gunman, which is his right eye's over here, his left eye's over here. So he's firing his rifle from his left side. So now we're like, okay, well, now we know one gunman was shooting from the right, which we can tell this by the way he was firing here, because we see he's aiming on the right side because his rifle's right here, his right eye is right here, his left eye is over here. So we know he's firing from his right side. And now, excuse me, we know the second gunman, which is on the side of shelter, was firing from the left. So now we know exactly, by photographic evidence, we have two gunmen inside shelter number 3. We have a front view of them firing their shots from that location. We have a further off to the right side, left side of the view of them taking two shots from that location. We have a further view which shows one of the gunmen still aiming his rifle. And then we have the photographic evidence of Mary Moorman showing both gunmen with rifles in their hands. But again, like I said, I still didn't bring this out because I need to find some more information, because I wanted to make sure that if these gunmen fits what people was claiming that day. Then I started going over testimonies and stuff, and then I found Mr. Zapruder in his first testimonies and stuff. He said the assassin was right behind him. Then I go to the Newman's testimonies, and the Newman says the shots came from directly behind them. So I placed Mr. Zapruder and Newman and his family back in their location and stuff like that to see, right along with my photographic evidence, to see what lines up. Well, we have the Newmans right here. What's behind the Newmans? shelter number 3. What is behind Mr. Zapruder and Mrs. Setzman? Shelter number 3. Well, we know the Bronson film shows shots coming from the window of the shelter and the side of the shelter. We know that for a fact. We know the Orville Nix film shows a shot being fired from the window and from the side of the shelter. We know Mary Moorman's photo shows a gunman standing right here and a gunman over here with rifles in the hand. And then we have the Darnell film, which shows the side view, which is coming down this way, shows 2 gunmen right there, and 1 gunman still aiming his rifle from his left side. And then we have the opposite view of where Mr. Zapruder was at, on that side of Elm Street. We know the bullet made contact with JFK and Governor Connally. So we have all this evidence. After I got this and I put all this location, now we have eyewitnesses backing up this location. But I wanted to get that view. So I contacted a friend and stuff, and he took some images for me and stuff like that. And I wanted to make sure that when this shot here happened, it pushes JFK as we see there. So we're looking at this view. When he takes a shot from here, JFK is going to be pushing off to the left. So now I go ahead and I go back into the Zapruder film. And then I view the film, which I'm going to show you right here, which I'm going to pull it up, start off right here by frame 309. I'm going to keep an eye on JFK. JFK is being shot right there because I angled it just to make sure if a shot came from the shelter. And as you see, boom, JFK is being pushed to the left now. So a shot from that direction has to be pushing JFK off to the left. So the shot head came from JFK's right because it's pushing him off to the left, as we see in the Zapruder film. So you see, now I have the Zapruder film showing the angle of the shot coming in from the right. We have the Moorman photo showing us 2 gunmen with rifles in the hand. We have the Darnell film that shows us a side view of the shelter with 2 gunmen in there, and 1 gunman still aiming his rifle. Moorman photo with both gunmen holding rifles. We have the Orville Nix film and the Bronson film showing 2 shots coming from shelter number 3. And then when we line these up, we find out it was the fatal headshot JFK and a shot to Governor Connally, because we can see JFK's head open up in frame 313, and we can see a bullet impact into Governor Connally's back as he's turned off to his left. So after I found all this out, I still had to go into finding more evidence. Now, I already got the view of the gunman head. I have the location of the gunman and everything else. But I had to get more information before I even posted any of this information. Next thing I started doing was testing, as you see here. Because when we look at that shelter, you know, he has to be a pretty well tall man. So no one's going to be around 10 feet tall, or 8 feet tall, or 9 feet tall. It all depends how it is from the bottom to the top. So I had to sit there and look at different angles and stuff. This position here, the gunman could have been standing just like this, which, you know, he could stand for a long period of time. Then, or he could have been standing like this. But it was most likely he was this way, because this is a more comfortable position for an assassin, and it's more comfortable for the man himself and everything else, because he ain't going to carry that much weight. Because when you're carrying this way, he's carrying a whole more body weight. Then he's carrying all his body weight standing this way on his 2 legs. But when he's got his arms extended like this and his legs like this, and he's bent down, he's balancing out that way so it wouldn't be too hard on him. So see, I did that testing, but I still didn't stop. I still had to find more. Then what I did was I went ahead and did this right here. Remember, when I make my maps of charts and everything else, I had to place all this stuff back in place just to see if it happened from that location, if this is the fatal headshot location, and we had to have all this evidence pieced together. As you see here, we have the Bronson film. He was over here filming. He was filmed this way. Shows 2 shots come from shelter number 3. We have Orville Nix standing over here filming. He films 2 shots come from the window and the side shelter too. We have Mary Moorman standing right over here. She takes her image from this location, and it shows both gunmen with rifles in her hand. Then we have the Darnell film, which he's coming down this way, filming the side view, and we see the side view of it. Right here we see the gunman still aiming his rifle from his left side. And then we have the Betzner image, which also shows JFK's limits first coming down, which we see a rifle sticking out of the shelter. The lower window, which is the second window up in the shelter, he moved up another window before they came to the street sign there, Stemmons Freeway sign, because you had to make that clear shot above that little tree that's in front of the shelter there. But we also could see the rifle sticking out right here. And then we have Mr. Zapruder right here. Shots came from behind. The assassin was behind him, as he claimed, shelter number 3. And then we have the Newmans right here in this location. They say shots came from directly behind him. What's right behind him? Shelter number 3. Frame 313 is right here. Frame 330 is right here of the Zapruder film, which lines it up. So we line all this up. So we even take a view from this part right here, which I'll zoom in just a little bit so you can see the bottom part here. Then we're going to take a look at this view here. If we're standing along here, because remember we have eyewitnesses claiming they seen smoke coming around in this location right here. And where was that smoke coming from? It's going to come from shelter number 3. They thought it came from the picket fence here, but actually it came from shelter number 3, because here's the picket fence line right here, and right behind it is shelter number 3. But we also got to imagine there's trees right here as well. So everything that I found's fitting, the fatal headshot coming from shelter number 3, right along with the shot to Governor Connally. Because remember, Governor Conley's story says, I was looking off to the right. It wasn't until I was turning to my left when I heard the second shot, which they're only going to hear 2 shots anyway close to him, because shelter number 3, there was only 2 shots fired from there. Governor Connally said he heard the first shot, and then he was looking off to his right. Then as he was turning off to his left, he heard the second shot, and then he felt the blow in his back. And if we watch the Zapruder film, excuse me, we could see that, as you see right here. It wasn't until frame 315, sorry about the marks on this frames here, but that was when I was doing my research and stuff. We see Governor Connally starting to turn off. We see him right here. This is frame 314, 313. He's still looking off to the right. Now he's starting to turn around to his left, as you see right here. He's starting to turn to his left. And then we see the bullet impact right there, as you see right there. That was the bullet impact right here. So this is fitting his story now. Now we got Governor Connolly's story also fitting. He was looking off to his right. He only heard 2 shots. And it's fitting this location here, because the only shots they're going to hear is from this location here, because it's real close. Now, after I got all this information, I went ahead and I said, well, let me go ahead and make the time frame chart. So I watched a Zapruder film and stuff, and I marked down the time frame of these 2 shots. As you see here, shot number 4 and shot number 6. Marked them down to see how much time there was between them. Then I went ahead and marked the location where these shots came from. Shelter number 3, shelter number 3. Then I go ahead and make the distance from shelter number 3. That was the fatal headshot to JFK, and this is a shot to Governor Connally. Wrote that down as I go along. And all this, these are the finished products right here, basically. These are finished timelines, but when I was doing it, I was marking down time frames as I was going along. Like shelter number 3, shelter number 3. I was marking time frames down as I go up that way. And then when you finally get them all the time frames together, then you can put them all together, as you see right here. Now I had the time frames, I had the distance, I had the gunman's location, I had the shots, photographic evidence, plus eyewitness accounts backing it up. But there was still one more question. Who was the assassins? So before I brought all this information out, I had to do more investigations, which, like I said, notes, and when you're making discoveries and stuff, and you take notes and stuff, it's very important, because when you see something, just like right here, we have the gunman firing from his left side. We have the gunman aiming his rifle from his left side. So when I start colorizing other images, so one day I went ahead, and after I had all this stuff, and I started colorizing some images. I got some black and whites. I think I did like 7 images that day, and it was like I came across the 3 tramps, and I was colorizing it and stuff. And when you colorize it, everything's full zoom, so you can get all the details and stuff. One thing I found out, I was like, wait a minute, this guy here has a butt plate of a rifle imprint on his left lapel, which is this image right here, and his initials AA, which is impressed into his left lapel. So I'm like, wait a minute, the gunman was firing from his left inside the shelter. So then I take this tramp's images, and I line it up. Which what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around like this, like so. Oops. Now I went ahead and took this image here, and I was like, okay, let's start lining this up. Let's pull all this up right here, and this right up here. Now let's bring the Moorman photo right here. Bring this gunman right here. Bring it up a little bit so you can see, because I know I'm down in the corner. Which I'll bring this Moorman photo over here a little bit. Sorry, I'm not trying to take a long time, but I just want to make sure I get all this in play right here so you can see. Oops. Then we got one more image to bring up right here. Here we go. Which I'll bring this over a little bit more. After I sit here and I start bringing all this together, I'm like, okay, well, the hairline, as you see here, receding back, we can see that receding back right here on this guy right here, this gunman right here. We see him aiming his rifle and firing his rifle from his left side. And right here on his left lapel, we have a butt plate imprint from the bottom of a rifle with initials AA. So now, that's why this information helps us when we take this and write this down, because we know the gunman was inside shelter number 3, which is on the side of it, fired from his left side. So when I was colorizing this, that's what drew me attention to, let me line this up. Then we take this image and we see, okay, well, he's aiming his rifle from his left side, firing his rifle from his left side. This guy here has a butt plate imprint on his left lapel from a rifle. And now his profile fits this gunman as well. So this gunman here is left-handed. So he was firing a rifle from his left side. And as you see, the hairline recedes back right here, how it comes up and recedes back right here, and it's high up right here, how it comes back right here, and it's high up right here, and it comes back down. Same as we see here, it recedes back, and it's real high right here, as you see this part right here, sticking up, sticking up, sticking up, and we see right here how his hairline goes back, and his hair sticking up. So now we have this gunman that was in this location here. So that's how I made discovery on the tramps being inside shelter number 3. So you see, it's a long, long process before I even brought this out, as you see here. Now, after I found and ID'd these gunmen, then I said, okay, now I can present this evidence, because now I have, at this point, I already did my testing, as you see right here. Did my testing. This is how the gunman was standing. The tall tramp was standing on his back when he took the shots. Now I have 2 gunmen inside of shelter number 3 with rifles. We can see them with rifles aiming. We can see them with rifles. We can see them aiming the rifles, which I'll pull these up. And we can see them firing their rifles from this location, which I'll pull this up here. I'll just pull up these 3 frames here. Okay, we have 2 gunmen inside of shelter number 3. We can see that in the Moorman photo. We can see them holding rifles in their hands. The Orville Nix film, we can see him shooting from this location, like this gunman here shooting from this location, firing from this location, has his rifle in his hand. He's aiming from his left side in the same location. And then we have the Bronson film. So I have the Orville Nix film shows the shots, Bronson film showing the shots, Darnell film showing the side views of the gunmen aiming rifles, and the shots being fired from that location, which was the Orville Nix film and the Bronson film. Then the Moorman photo showing them with the rifles in their hand. Then I have eyewitness accounts on top of that. Then I have the Bester image, which also shows a rifle sticking out of this window right here, which is the lower window, which I'll pull over here. It'd be this window here. He was actually first aiming out of this window, but then he moved up to this window here. So now I have all this evidence, and I have the Zapruder film showing where these bullets and these shots made contact with. I have the time frames of when these shots were taken. I have the distance between the gunman and the time JFK was hit. I have eyewitness accounts shows these gunmen's I'll pull up these two things right here so you can see. At this point, like I said, I have all this evidence right here. The gunman's location, okay. We have the Orville Nix film, Bronze film showing shots from there. We have the Zapruder film showing where these bullets made contact. We have Mary Moorman photos showing two gunmen with rifles in their hands. We have Darnell film showing the side view, which shows one gunman aiming his rifle. Besser image showing a rifle sticking out of the window of the shelter. We have eyewitness accounts in their positions where the assassin was behind them, shots came from direct behind them. And we have the sniper's view. We know the distance. We know the time frames. So see and plus we did the testing on how the gunman took his shot out of that window. We also ID'd the gunman, which is two of the tramps. So we had all this evidence compiled before I even made a claim. So I wanted to make this video to show people that when you make a claim, okay, you can't just go ahead and find one object or one thing and say, here it is. And then, or just take that one object or whatever, or that one frame and say, let me add a big old story to it and say, here's presenting it right here. No, it's a long, slow process. That's why it took me 12 years, because not only the process I've done here, just this is just for the two gunmen inside of shelter number 3. I took the same process when I found Oswald on the 6th floor Texas Book Depository, the gunman inside the shelter, guy on the 2nd floor, the gunman on the 2nd floor of the county records building, and even the gunman on the rooftop of the county records building. There's a lot of things we have to look at, and there's a long thing, it's a long wait you have to go through, but you have to keep everything in certain files. And then once you get all these files compiled together and you start placing all this evidence together and stuff, then you get more accurate, and then you know exactly what's going on, because you're getting the whole 3D view all the way around now, to be honest with you, because now we can see it from the shots being fired, we can see the shots making impact, and we got eyewitnesses that placed the gunman there. We can see them with rifles in their hands, firing the rifles and everything else. Plus we know the distance between the gunman and JFK, the distance between the gunman and Governor Connolly, and we know the time frames of when these shots when they occurred. Okay, there's all this information we have now, and this is a lot of information. And then we know how the gunman took the shot out of the shelter from the window. We know how that happened, and then we also have the ID of the two gunmen that was inside the shelter. I wanted to make this video and go a little bit more in details and explain a little bit more about the research and the process I had to go through before I even made any claims on finding anything in the JFK assassination. Plus, like I said, if it don't fit the story, that's another thing too I had to keep in mind. If it didn't fit the story, even if I found all this evidence and it didn't fit the story, I had to make sure that everything fit. It fits the story that Governor Connolly says. It fits the story that Mr. Zapruder said his first testimony. It fits the Newman story and other eyewitness accounts too. Everything fits the story, and everything fits the evidence that I'm uncovered. So I had to make sure all the way around when I did this. Just like here's another one I put together right here. The locations of JFK and Governor Connolly, location of the gunman, all this evidence of when the shots were fired, and even other evidence as you see right here, which goes into the autopsy images and all that. But I just want to make this video here to give you a little bit more insight on, before you can make a claim or a statement, you have to go through and make sure that you have more evidence to compel on top of more than just one image or one claim. You have to have a lot stacked on top of you. You got to have files after files after files just on one film or just on one image. Moorman photo, as you see here, we just have one image. But when you take this image and you look and find shots come from that location, okay, and you see where the bullets made contact with, and then you have the other one. So now we have the Moorman photo with the Orville Nix film on top of it, with the Bronson film on top of it, the Zapruder film on top of it, photos of that location on top of it, eyewitness counts on top of that. So now the stack is growing, and that's more and more and more and more evidence. But I just want to make this video and let everybody know, because I know it's pretty long now. Like I said, that's just in this short time, to me, it might be a long video, but it's a short time. It's still a long more process I had to go through. So don't forget that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. Share this video, my other videos with your friends, relatives, and on your social media stuff so they get to know this information. Again, don't forget the like button. We need them likes. Thank you, and you have a pleasant day.